Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. More information is always good. Reliable information, obviously. Always verify the information that you receive and try it from different angles. Now, you remember the Cold War and you remember that ended with the victory of the United States or the West, and the collapse and the losers being the Soviet Union / Russia now. The story goes here in the United States, told on the TV, told by my friends, told my acquaintances, whomever I discuss political stuff and historical events. The story goes that the United States beat Russia because it outspent Russia. And Russia Soviet Union could not keep up with the military spending that the Americans were doing, and that started with Ronald Reagan and bankrupt Russia / Soviet Union, which I don't equate, but sometimes I make the mistake of falling in the same thing as these guys are using. They use Russia for the Soviet Union, which is incorrect, very incorrect. Now, how the story goes here is the same kind of half story that is told regarding the Cuban Missile Crisis. The same here is just half of story, the same with this one. I can provide you with some information that I have coming from overseas and how extra to how the story goes here. On top of this, there's more information, and there will always be more information that will come up with time. Today just came with Putin some more information that I was aware of, but I think I should make a video regarding that. How it collapsed. How did Soviet Union collapse? Well, very simplistic. We outspent them, and they could not keep up, and they just disintegrated. That's it. Just disintegrated. Well, not so fast. It was a decision made by those guys to simply, disintegrate. Why? Why would you want to disintegrate somewhere as a party leader when you are flying high? Would you do that? I wouldn't. Right? If I'm in a business and I'm the CEO of the business together with some other guys in the, board of directors, let's put it this way, and we're over there, let's say 15, and we have a company of billions of dollars, why would I want to destroy it? And I'm in competition with another business that has billions of dollars of business. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm going to destroy my future, my family, my life. So I wouldn't do that. Unless I get paid some severity, it's called, I think, or parachute insurance. So if I destroy it, I get some money. So much that I don't care if I stay over there 50 more years in the board of directors. Well, some say that's what occurred in Soviet Union with those leaders. Putin makes the point in the same way in his speech that he had today here, yesterday over there, regarding the festivities of signing the independence and the recognitions of the 4 territories that will be incorporated into Russia. So what did he say? He makes a point while he was talking about where did all this start, how the Ukrainian issue started. And we are now going to 1991, to the fall of the Soviet Union, when we won. Yeah, man, we won. And we did, because there are no more. I'm not debating that. I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing the reasons are much more complex and more than the simplicity explained here. And there were a lot of traitors. And one of them was even Mr. Mikhail, who did not really like to live in Russia for whatever reason after the fall of, after he was kicked out. He didn't want to live over there. I wonder why. So this article was from today, the 30th, And he says, crisis whose roots go back decades. So says now Putin that the contemporary security crisis in Ukraine goes back decades, Putin said. You don't have to take Putin for his word, obviously. But he was the KGB. He was a director of the KGB, like Bush first, right? The chief of what? CIA, I think he was, not FBI. CIA, I think. So good guys, both of them, because they're in the same business or keeping their country secure with doing anything that's needed, necessary. Don't you think these guys are angels and those guys are evil? No, they're in the same business. All right, so he knew, he got information. He knew what he's talking about. It doesn't mean that he's telling the truth. I'm not saying that, I'm not an idiot, but let's go and see what this guy says, because coincides with many things I knew before listening to this guy. The contemporary security crisis in Ukraine goes back decades, Putin said, and I'm quoting, in 1991 at the Belovezaskaya Puchcha. And I said, what the hell is that? I Google it, and it's a forest. It's the oldest natural reserve in Europe. It's the official national park. So over there, these guys met the leaders of Soviet Union then. But he's explaining. He says, in 1991 at this park, without asking the will of ordinary citizens of Soviet Union, representatives of the then party elites decided on the collapse of the USSR. So they decided, you know what, guys, we just destroy this country because, you know, we just feel like, really. It was not really like that, but it's not going further to say. So the elites decided on collapse of the USSR, and people found themselves cut off from their homeland at a stroke. This tore apart, dismembered our community of nations, became a national catastrophe. Remember when I said that he's decrying the fall? That's what he means. Just as the borders of the Union republics were formed behind, let me see. Just as the borders of the Union republics were formed behind the scenes after the revolution of 1917, that's how they carved the republics then, the final leaders of the Soviet Union, contrary to the direct expression of the will of the majority of the people in 1991 referendum. There were some referenda over there, if you remember 1991, what's who's who. They ignored that, destroyed our great country, and simply placed the people before this fact. So the elites decided for everybody this integration and who's who, what's what, who stays where, and what. Some say, the information I have, with the help of the guys who won the Civil War. The Soviet Union is no more, Putin said. The past cannot be returned, and Russia does not need this today. We are not pursuing this. But there is nothing stronger than the determination of millions of people who by their culture, faith, tradition, language consider themselves part of Russia, whose ancestors lived for centuries as part of one state. There is nothing stronger than the determination of these people to return to their true historical fatherland, Putin said. Now, the president recalled that the people of the Donbass have faced 8 years of genocide, shelling, and blockade, end quote. While in Kherson and Zaporozhye, authorities attempted to foment hatred towards Russia and to everything Russia. While referenda were being held, he said, Kiev threatened to target women, school teachers, working in election commissions, and aggressions against millions of people who took part in the plebiscites. Now, you don't have to believe Putin, but when you have this information from other sources than Putin, and they're not Russian sources, then, you know, it's just another piece of information. Remember, when you receive a piece of information, verify it. and you verify it in the intelligence community, let's put it this way, you verify an information with 3 independent sources that are not connected. And when you verify it with 3 sources independent of one another, then you come to your boss and say, this is the fact, this is the intelligence on that issue. That's how you report. If you have only 2, not good, not reliable information. You don't go to your boss and say, I guess it's almost maybe some may come could be. No, that's not how it works. It works nowadays, it seems like, but not in a serious business, if you know what I mean. So, I heard this story, or this piece of information, historical explanation of certain events, historical events, from historians independent of one another, independent of schools of thought, because you can have 3 professors of the same university. They're not independent sources. You can have 3 professors or 3 experts from the same think tank. It's not independent. Or you can have from 3 think tanks that are of the same leaning, left or right or center, or they have an agenda. You have to get them really, really as far apart you find them, the more reliable the information becomes. Sorry for this little lecture on acquiring intelligence in services, but anyway, so remember what Putin said. Some people decided over there. Now you can say, well, they decided because they couldn't make it anymore. Really? Really? Why didn't Ceausescu decide that? How do you think those guys in the Eastern Europe decided to just say, we're going to change our hat from the communist into capitalist? How do you think all those guys left? Because they were good-hearted? Mikhail Gorbachev told them. But Ceausescu said, no, I'm not doing it. You're a traitor. Told him in his face. How do I know that? Well, I read shit. So, sorry. Again. So, and not only read shit, but if you have people who were with people who were and were, you know what happened in certain rooms. Okay? So that's another one that you can hear from this guy who told you from that he was over here, he was over there, and so on. And then you correlate that with what information you got from this book or from another guy high up then, or with Romanian intelligence services that will report to this or this or that, and you put them together and say, yeah, it must be true. Or at least 99%. Thank you very much for being with me again today. They said we needed to do that because those guys got trapped where they didn't belong. Like some people get trapped in other kind of bodies and they have to change that. You know what I mean? Okay, I know. So some people are just, I'm trapped in this body, so I have to make some changes. Abracadabra. And all of a sudden, I'm someone else. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth and be just.